Well, isn't this a divisive game? Double Exposure was always going to be a rocky launch. Many fans had already made their mind up on this one from the reveal trailer. I was not one of those people. I adore the Life is Strange series, so I was willing to give the game a chance to tell the story that it wanted to tell. Double Exposure is an annoying game. Against all odds, most of this game is actually very good. The first 3 chapters are fantastic, but beyond that, the final 2 chapters feel like a completely different game, with a tone and narrative shift that makes no sense, story arcs that get completely forgotten, and ultimately, one of the most underwhelming endings to a game I've experienced in recent history. I really wanted to like Double Exposure, but it doesn't seem like Double Exposure wanted me to like it. Before we get to the glaring issues this game has, we're going to talk positives first, because that's just nice, isn't it? This game has a very good premise, so you're Max. Again, I actually don't mind this. I like Max, so I'm happy to see more of her. Plus, she does still feel like Max. She's an adult now, but there's a lot of familiar characteristics. It's very clearly still Max. Max's life is once again turned upside down when she discovers the body of her best friend Safi in the snow. The game then presents this murder mystery style narrative where you want to figure out who could have possibly done this to Safi, who would want to do this to Safi, and what are they gonna do next. But then, Max discovers that she does still have a power. It's not rewinding time, but she can travel to an alternate timeline where Safi wasn't killed. The opening premise of this game is Max attempting to solve and prevent the same murder in different timelines. That is a very intriguing premise, there is no denying that, and for a good chunk of this game's runtime, it follows up on that interesting premise. There's even a detective who's trying to solve the murder, and he strongly believes that you are involved somehow in Safi's death. There's a lot of narrative threads going on at once for a large portion of this game, and it really works. The setting is also brilliant. The campus is full of snow as we're in December. I'm a sucker for a game with snow, always puts it up 1 score on a review scale for me. The bar where you often frequent is a really cool spot. I wish there was a bar like that near my university when I was a student. And of course, with the ability to switch timelines, there's 2 versions of all these places. And there's a really stark contrast between the vibrant colours and upbeat music present in the living world compared with the depressing emptiness and cold aesthetic of the dead world. Stuff like this really works. I'm not a huge fan of the alternate timelines gimmick in general media, but for the first 3 chapters of this game it really does work. The soundtrack is also brilliant, some really good songs frequent a lot of these scenes, some of the best moments are just sitting down somewhere, reflecting on plot events, and letting the music take you away. It doesn't have one iconic standout track like the first game did with Obstacles, but it's still a strong soundtrack. Pretty much everyone's voice acting is at least good as well. Hannah Tell is obviously excellent as Max, but the whole main cast did great jobs. The facial animations are also really good, the best in the series by a landslide. You can really see the raw emotion in important scenes, and it allows those scenes to say a lot even when the characters aren't. Speaking of the characters, for the most part, I actually think this is a great cast of characters. There's a lot of good ones. There is one character that I really think they massively dropped the ball on, as in, I don't think they could have fucked their characterization anymore if they tried, but we will get onto that in the glaring flaws section. Max is of course Max. She looks like Max, she sounds like Max, she speaks and acts like Max. They did her character justice in that respect. The core friend group is also strong for the most part. At the start of the game, you do get to witness a little bit of the strong bond between Max, Safi and Moses. Moses, by the way, is an absolute king. He is such a little cutie, I would die for this man.
Oh, damn. Chimney broke.
I do wish that we could have had more scenes of the 3 of them interacting, because we only really get a couple before things really kick off, and I feel like the emotional stakes could have been higher if we'd spent more time getting to know those 3's dynamic. Safi is sometimes a good character, we'll talk about this more in the glaring flaws section, but as she serves the Chloe role from the first game of Max's best friend who dies, I think they really dropped the ball with her as well for a number of reasons. Then there's the faculty characters such as Lucas and Gwen. These people have their own shit and their own controversies and secrets to hide, and it is fun trying to solve their mysteries. It's what most of the first half of this game is, and that's when it's at its strongest. And since you'll be talking to two different versions of each character, you've got to remember which version likes you and which versions don't, as quite understandably people aren't thrilled if they catch you snooping around their business. I really did love the first 3 chapters of Double Exposure. I really want to make that point clear. I thought it was great. I was very excited to get to the end. I thought we were in for an absolute classic. It has this murder mystery feel to it. There's a great vibe around the world. It felt very Life is Strange for a long time. At the start, it's the mystery surrounding. Who would want to hurt Safi? Why would they do it? Will they do it in the other timeline? Can you stop it? Will Max get arrested for the murder? Is this a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top? There's so many questions going on, and your mind is racing trying to figure it all out. But, unfortunately, the game doesn't deliver a satisfying conclusion to any of it. Hi everyone, this is me. Look how cool I am. Just wanted to take a quick break from the video to say that if you're enjoying the content, then to please check out some of the other videos on the channel if they look interesting to you. You'd be doing yourself a favour if you really think about it. I even have a playlist with some of my best videos, so they're easy viewing. Thanks guys, back to the video. So, we're now going to talk about the glaring issues that this game has. We'll start off with smaller issues and then end with the disastrous mistakes that Deck 9 have made. One thing I found very immersion breaking was the characters' reactions to you snooping. I saw that in IGN's review. They said that certain characters are more open to sharing stuff with you, whereas faculty members are less likely to give you information, and they praised the game for being realistic in that respect. Well, I've played the game twice now for the platinum. I did get it. The collectibles though were an absolute bitch, and I made wildly different decisions on both playthroughs, and this just isn't the case at all. As soon as you come to a character with a nugget of information, just the start of a thread to go off, they make an offhand comment like, "Oh Max, aren't you a little rascal rummaging around my deepest, darkest secrets? You little troublemaker, what would you like to know? I will tell you literally everything if you ask me the right questions." And it just feels so dumb. I'm gonna spoil one plot thread of this game now, and it's a sort of big one, so you can skip ahead to this time if it's that important to you. But once you discover that Gwen was the one who got Safi's book cancelled, which, by the way, you learned by reading her private emails while she was out of her office, you confront her about this, and she's like, "Ah, you got me, I'll answer anything else you want to say to the best of my ability." And it's like, huh? If a professor learned that somebody had snooped through their emails for a scoop, they would tell them to get lost. This is wildly unrealistic, and I don't know what game IGN played, but it can't have been the same one as me. They must have played Single Exposure. And then there's the major issue of a bunch of plot lines that are set up in the first half of the game that just go nowhere. Take Abraxas, for example. The first 3 chapters spend an annoyingly decent amount of time bringing up this secret society of students called Abraxas. They're mysterious, and there's secret puzzles and elections involved. I think it's all cringeworthy nonsense that didn't fit cohesively with the rest of the game at all, so I didn't particularly mind this disappearing, but still, there's no payoff. They just stopped being mentioned. What was the point of them?
The clownery!
And then there's the detective alderman. Until I started my second playthrough, I had actually forgotten he existed. They make a big deal about this guy in chapter 2. One of the best sections of the whole game is Max trying to grab a camera from Moses' lab without Alderman noticing you. It makes great use of the timeline shifting in its gameplay. It's tense, it's fun, it's a great section, probably the best part of the whole game. But then after that, you have a decision to make. You can agree to help him if you learn anything, or refuse. This implies that at some point in the game you will gain more information that Alderman would probably want. But this doesn't happen. In fact, chapter 3 begins with Alderman surprising Max at her home and chastising her, passionately accusing her of Safi's murder. It suggests that Alderman is going to be a real problem, that he's motivated to send Max down for this. It's a very impactful scene. Then, no joke, in the very next scene, he interacts with an alternate version of himself and disappears. Literally, just disappears. No matter what decision you make, he's just gone. Did he die? Did he go to another timeline? Nobody knows. He's just gone. He's not in the game anymore. He never appears again. One of the most interesting obstacles this game had is just randomly not in it anymore. And then, for this next section, I just need someone from Deck 9 to please just explain to me what was the thought process behind Vin's character. He is a selfish, creepy, sexually aggressive weirdo, yet half of the time the game just acts like he's not. I am not exaggerating to say that every single scene with this guy feels like you're talking to a completely different person. 1 second he's a little bit combative, telling Max to leave Abraxas out of things, because of course, the president's secretary runs the super secret campus society. Dumb. The next, he's turning every conversation with Max sexual whenever he can. I felt borderline harassed by this guy, yet the game keeps flip-flopping him from creepy sex addict to cutesy charming sidekick bad boy. I have no idea what they were going for here. And then, he's even romanceable. Who in the right mind is romancing Vin? He's an absolute freak, yet his troubling behaviour is just constantly overlooked as quirky, maybe? In the living world, he even throws a cow skull through Safi's windshield so that she'd be angry at Lucas? What? This guy is a psychopath and the game just acts like he isn't. I genuinely don't have a clue what happened with him, but someone needs to be held accountable here. He's one of the worst written characters I have seen in a game for a very long time. But then, the biggest issue in Life is Strange Double Exposure. What the hell were those final 2 chapters? The game just forgot everything that made the opening 3 chapters so compelling. Hell, it forgot what Life is Strange is supposed to be about. Safi having powers is a plot twist that I did not like, but it's one I could have gotten on board with had they handled it correctly. But with this revelation, they just completely switched up Safi's character on a dime, to the point where she's unrecognisable from the character we drank champagne with at the start of the game. She's a complete and utter dick now. This isn't a gradual build-up of Safi becoming drunk on power, slowly exploiting her shape-shifting abilities until she's too far gone. That isn't it. She decides she wants to abuse her powers for fun? Revenge? It's not clear, and it's so random, and it flies in the face of what Life is Strange is supposed to be. Every single game in this series teaches you, preaches to you, about the dangers of using powers as a crutch. It's the entire point of every game, and it seems like Deck 9 just forgot about that here. If the final 2 chapters had Safi become less restrictive with her power gradually, until it seems like the power has more control over her than she has of it, and then you have to take her down or talk her out of it or something, then I could have gotten on board, but that isn't what happens. At the end of the game, she just asks you if you want to join her. Who in the right mind would do that? Depending on your choice in Life is Strange 1, you either A, let the town get destroyed, which haunts Max in this game, and is clearly a perfect example of why you shouldn't abuse your powers, kind of the whole point of the first Life is Strange. Or B, you let Chloe die, implying you and Max learned that exact lesson a long time ago. So why would she even agree to this? Why have all these people agreed to this? Had the story got so confusing that people didn't realise what they were agreeing to? It's mental. And then, when you obviously refuse because you don't have lead in your brain, she shapeshifts into you as a sort of threat and just walks off. Zero impact, zero climax. You just go to the bar. What the hell, man? And then they try and sequel bait us by implying that the most boring character in the entire game suddenly has powers as well? What in the MCU is happening here? This isn't Life is Strange. The powers are supposed to be secret, to be contained. Now suddenly everyone has powers, everybody knows that Max has powers, and nobody cares about the consequences of using these powers anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if the next game is Max, Daniel and Alex joining forces to take down Safi and Diamond. Max could take stuff from different timelines to fight with, Daniel could blow them up, I don't know, and Alex could tell the others when Safi feels sad, I don't know. I really despise the direction this series is going in, and I'm in disbelief at how quickly it's happened. For 3 chapters, we had a classic Life is Strange game. It was great. I was a happy boy. Then, in a blink of an eye, we have Life is Strange Marvel Edition. I genuinely, with all my heart, hope, and this will never happen, but I hope that we somehow get a different version of this game. Completely remove the final 2 chapters from the game and redo it. Take as much time as is needed. Good lord, do not let the next game in this series follow the path that the latter half of this one has set up. This just isn't the story they should have told. They should have told a story about the importance of facing grief head on, to not run away from it. The final choice should have been something along the lines of staying in the dead world and accepting Safi's death, or move to the living world and live in denial, leaving King Moses on his own. This was literally staring them right in the face, and they went and did this nonsense instead. I understand that I have ranted quite a lot here, but every single word of it came from a place of love and appreciation for this series. I'm passionate about these games. I gave Double Exposure much more of a chance than most did. A lot of people wrote it off when they saw Max was returning. A lot of people wrote it off when it wasn't about Chloe. I didn't. I gave Deck 9 the benefit of the doubt, and they spat in my face. How can you casually set up such a brilliant mystery and then just piss all over it in the second half? What a crying shame, and a waste of what could have been a fantastic Life is Strange experience. As I stated at the start of the video, I really wanted to like Double Exposure, but Double Exposure didn't want to like me. Thank you for making it to the end of this pretty negative video. Sorry about that. I kind of got a little bit heated there. But normally my videos are much more positive, and if you want to see those videos, check out some other videos. If you enjoy those ones, then you may as well subscribe, because then you get to see new ones. And if you like this video, like the video by pressing the like button. But for now, that is all. Have a nice day, and goodbye.
Friend. But I think it's starting to make sense, and I'll try to get it right, to have you on my side.